Aquarius workshop, let go of the forcing current. I start with a quote from Pathwork Lecture 193 with the title Resume of the Basic Principles of the Pathwork. And the quote is as follows. You must discern in what areas the momentarily accept your limitations of will and let go of the forcing current of an overactive will. Re-establishing of will currents cannot be done by the outer will. If this is being recognized and the pressure of the outer will relaxed, the inner will can come to the fore and begin its functioning. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 193. The immature, neurotic part of us has the unconscious misconception that it can only be happy if everything happens exactly as it wants. Nothing should go against our will. As long as we are stuck in the forcing current, it is impossible for the true self to unfold, which prevents us from developing self-confidence and makes us unhappy. True love, connection and communication are impossible with this forcing attitude. Caught in this forcing current, we believe in the delusion of a hostile world that refuses to give us what we need to be happy. We are convinced that we can only get our way through false emotions such as submissiveness, aggressiveness, aloofness, or by numbing our feelings. These four forcing attitudes with which we defend ourselves against an illusory hostile world can be in conflict with each other and exist internally as a foreign substance. The four attitudes from the forcing current are: first, submission. In submission, we cling to another in the hope of love. As a result of this emotionally dependent attitude, we lose our free will, self-respect, integrity, and dignity. We adapt, beg, cry, and sell our souls out of fear that we will die without love. We rationalize this attitude based on the illusionary belief that we are selfless, sacrificial, and loving. In reality, it is a selfish barter. If I submit to you, then you must do my way. Submission is based on fear and a distortion of love. Second, aggressiveness. This attitude demands, you have to do what I want. We use all our power, selfishness, and ruthless aggressiveness to defeat others, whom we consider enemies as long as they refuse to comply with our demands. We proudly tell ourselves that we are independent because we will never bend to anyone's will. We will also never admit that we feel vulnerable and dependent. We live under the illusion that hostility is the only way to get our way. We do not realize that this hostile greed only achieves the opposite. This attitude actually provokes hostility and creates a vicious circle in which we lose power over ourselves. Aggressiveness is based on self-will and a distortion of real strength. 3. Aloofness. We isolate ourselves out of the conviction that happiness is unattainable. This painful attitude numbs the demand for love by pretending that we don't want anything at all from the world and other people. I do not need you, leave me alone. We create a false harmony and appear outwardly satisfied. Isolation protects us from painful feelings of failure and disappointment, but that pain is not as damaging as this deep despair that forces us to refuse life experiences and sit out life. Aloofness is based on pride and a distortion of serenity. Fourth, Mutilation of true feelings. The above three attitudes mutilate true feelings, but in this last attitude our warm feelings never flow freely and naturally. We artificially manipulate our feelings to force others into love and obedience. We exaggerate and dramatize, for example, artificially instilling resentment and contempt in ourselves, or we frantically block out our true feelings. As a result, feelings are inhibited in their natural growth and turn into negative emotions. We have no idea what we really feel, what we want, and who we really are. In this workshop, you will explore with a loving curiosity 3 themes of the Pathwork Lectures regarding let go of the forcing current. The first theme: becoming aware of your subjective attitude. A subjective attitude is based on untruths and is characterized by bias and partiality. Due to the strong and forcing need to maintain images and illusions, we are subjective. Subjectivity is egocentric and arises from immature mental and emotional forcing currents, because we want to have our way and be right in everything. But love and egocentricity cannot coexist. With a subjective attitude, we unconsciously have an unrealistic image of situations, people, and ourselves. We do not see reality. We do not see the total picture of people, and we experience situations in a colored way. The next quote stemmed from Pathwork Lecture 70. In every person exists an inner, subtle, and very devious current with which you try to force others to love you, mostly by trying to make an impression on them, and then by proving yourself in one way or another. Once you become fully aware of them, you will be able to translate such feelings into clear-cut language. You will then see how far-reaching their significance is. For instance, you will recognize that due to the very existence of this forcing current, you cannot help being subjective. You respond favorably to those who agree with you, who appreciate, admire, or love you. In those who please you, you see the good in disproportionately stronger light than their shortcomings. You may be aware of their faults, but emotionally you minimize them. On the other hand, when someone displeases, hurts, or disappoints you, or you believe so, you will develop resentment and contempt towards that person. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 70. The second theme: discovering your need for illusions and compulsive behavior. In relationships, we constantly provoke the other person to rejection by withholding love, by reacting with fear, resentment, and hostility, by withdrawing ourselves, and by punishing the other person. We miss opportunities to fulfill our desires. However, these desires are not free from compulsive currents of fabrications and from unrealistic expectations about what our relationships and the reactions of others should be. We distrust reality because it does not match our illusions, and maintaining illusions causes fear, tension, and cramping. The next quote stems from Pathwork Lecture 71. It is necessary for you to understand that your subjectivity and therefore unreality is created by you through the strong and urgent need of having your illusions nourished. This urgent need for illusion comes from the forcing current of the child in you that must have everything his own way. All this is so subtle, so do not be deceived by a superficial right reaction. Think of where your problems are in life. Discover your emotions in connection with them, and then try to find this current or condition in you. You are bound to find it, for it must be in you also. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 71. The third and last theme. Let go of the forcing current. All automatic reflexes, such as wrong conclusions, images, and negative emotions, are fed by a forcing current that is the product of a fundamental misconception about life. We distrust the universe by believing in the delusion that the only way to get anything is through pressure, deception, and manipulation. The purpose of self-examination is to become aware of all the tense, distorted, compulsive layers that hide the true self, to free ourselves and to let go of that forcing current. The last quote stems from Pathwork Lecture 77. There is only one way to find this real self of yours that you are so ardently looking for in this work. First, find and become aware of this forcing current. This current of I want on one hand and I fear that will not get what I want on the other. Once you are clearly aware of this current in you, not as a generality, but how, in what particular way it manifests in you, you will be able to let go of it. I wish you peace and all the best. Thank you.